Welcome to World11 News Channel.
Some savvy Severance fans guessed it right. Helly Britt Lower has actually been Helena this whole time. Well, not this whole time, but rather for all of Season 2 so far. Ever since the overtime contingency mission succeeded in the Season 1 finale, Audi Helena has been posing as any Helly to infiltrate the macrodata refinement crew, learn their secrets, and ultimately sabotage them for Lumen. It worked for a long time, but Irving John Turturro figured out that night gardeners don't exist and their friend wasn't actually their friend, so he risked her life and his job to expose the truth. While neither any Mark, Adam Scott, nor Dylan, Zach Cherry, suspected a ruse, Mark even had sex with Helena, believing her to be his any work crush. Lots of Severance viewers correctly figured it out and have been posting their Helly is Helena theories on social media. We have the smartest fans in the world, World11 Entertainment Weekly. They're so observant. It's like all of these detectives are going to work every time an episode has dropped. So we're all very impressed by it. Honestly, Lower adds that Easter eggs were intentionally included in the first episodes of Season 2 to fuel those fan theories. It'll be exciting for people to go back and rewatch the first 4 episodes, and then to really feel the OG Helly in Episode 5, she says. I hope that's satisfying. Filming the first 4 episodes with Lower playing Helena, playing Helly was really fun. Scott tells EW. We were all sort of on alert for trying to figure out what might be tipping it off here or there. That's more of a technical thing as far as playing the scenes, and Britt had it all figured out from the start and knew exactly what to do and was brilliant. It will be really fun for people to go back and rewatch the first few episodes now. Having this information, the big Helly reveal came at the end of Episode 4, Woe's Hollow, when the MDR crew is forced to go on an overnight retreat in the snowy wilderness. Team bonding woo. But their required lessons on Dieter and young Kier Egan take the backseat as Mark and Helena, who he thought was Helly, have sex and Irving begins to drown her to force the truth to come out. For his efforts, Irving is terminated from Lumen, and Mark and Dylan are left reeling by the revelation. Lower learned about the twist right at the very beginning, and loved working closely with director/executive producer Ben Stiller and creator Dan Erickson on The Secret. It's like an Adobe Photoshop image. You're trying to figure out the saturation and the intensity levels of how well Helena is blending in or not, she explains. And it was something we played around with a lot. It's cool that there are fans who are like, that's not my Helly, from the start, because there's something that they could pick up on. But the actor is quick to clarify that these are the same person sharing the same body, despite how different Helly and Helena are. I tried to always go back to the fact that Helena has this rebel inside of her that has been suppressed over many years, over so many years of conditioning within this high-control company, and within this family structure that she's also trapped inside of, in a way, Lower adds. The Innies and Helena are starved for affection, so there's an overlap there of what they might be longing for. All the Innies in particular are on this journey of finding out who they are, and Season 2 kind of cracks open in the heart. And it's even riskier, really, because there's vulnerability there. The Severance creator tells EW that the Helly twist was planned for a long time. Even going back to Season 1, we talked about the implication of the overtime contingency, where you can have an Innie posing as an Audi, Erickson says. We thought, well, that would likely mean that the inverse is possible, too. That becomes this really terrifying idea because then this group who has come to trust each other in Season 1 suddenly has to ask the question of whether they can still trust each other, because you can't ever be 100% sure that who you're talking to is who you think they are. The creative team brainstormed a couple of different ways of bringing that story to life in Season 2. We talked about different characters who might do that, and ultimately, Helly/Helena made the most sense because she would be the one with the most to gain from infiltrating that group, Erickson explains. We talked about when exactly to reveal it to the audience, and at the end of the day, we thought that the most interesting version was for us to learn along with the characters. So much of the show is about being in their subjective experience and being surprised about things along with them. I mean, that's the entire Season 1 finale episode. It's all us finding out these things along with them. And so, We wanted to have that sense again. While Helly will struggle with processing how the people closest to her didn't realize there was another person posing as her, Lower wants to give the characters grace. All the other characters are so wrapped up in their own storylines at that point. That's part of why Irving is the only one that suspects something is up with Helly, she says. Dylan is going through something life-altering meeting his outies wife. And obviously Mark is on this totally conflicted journey of trying to find Ms. Casey, and everyone is just reeling from what's happened at the end of Season 1, that somehow it goes under the radar for those first 3 episodes for some viewers and the innies, aside from Irving. Scott loves that it took 4 episodes to finally reveal Helena's scheme. I think it came at the right time, he says. I think doing it on the retreat is perfect because everybody's already so disoriented and the audience is probably a bit disoriented, too. So everything starts turning upside down for all of them. Filming that pivotal moment was not easy, but Lower felt lucky that her scene partner was Turturro. He is such a role model of mine, and we really built a trust and a friendship together over the past few years, she says. We were in a dangerous environment, literally. There were just freezing cold temperatures in the water and icy rocks. We worked really closely with the stunt team to make sure that it was physically safe so that we could go to where we needed to go emotionally. It was a real choreography and dance that we did there, and I think it's really an act of love from Irving to save his friend in that instant. He's really clear on what he needs to do. But where does this leave the MDR crew? The actors are, of course, wary of spoiling what comes next. But Scott teases that this changes quite a bit in Mark's mind as he recontextualizes his intimate moment with Helly. I mean, this was a life-changing moment for him, Scott says. He's been in existence for 2.5 years or something, so this is huge. His feelings for Helly have only grown thus far this season. So by the end of episode 4, we don't know how this hits Mark, what this means emotionally, but Helly is a huge part of his life. Huge. And I think that a lot of his identity is wrapped up in how he feels about her and how she feels about him. So you can imagine this being tectonic. Lower agrees. It's obviously a gut punch, and they're both going to reckon with questions of autonomy and consent. But she adds that she feels empathy for both Helly and Helena in the wake of this revelation.